like it's a long way off. You know, it is still snowing here in Western Pennsylvania at this very moment, but you know what? Summer's really not that far. And what does that mean for a lot of us music teachers? It means it's going to be time for summer workshops and camps. And I know it feels a little early, but believe it or not, January, February is the perfect time to get those summer's plans rolling and get your marketing plans in place. So, if you are interested in things like making more income this summer, taking multiple weeks throughout June, July, and August, taking those weeks off, getting your students excited about doing something new, creating marketing buzz that's going to last all year, and you love to be creative, then you are in the right space because today I'm going to share my favorite tips for planning and marketing effective and successful summer camps and workshops. So let's dive into this, but first we'll play a little intro music, and while I'm doing that, let me know where you're tuning in from. Welcome, welcome. This is one of my favorite topics to geek out about. Those of you who have been following me for maybe quite some time, you know that summer camps is one of my big topics, or at least it used to be. This is one of the topics that really kind of launched me into what I do now today, and I started talking about it 2012-ish and something like that back on my old blog. And today I thought, what better time of year to start talking about summer when there's still snow on the ground? So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be examining some effective tips that you can implement to plan your summer camps and, tips that you can use to market them so that they are effective and successful and you get enough people enrolled in them. We're also going to be looking at ways that we can be really mindful around planning them and choosing the topics of the camps. And we had some savvy listeners who submitted their questions ahead of time that they had about running summer camps. So we'll be going through those as well. If you are watching live or on the replay and you have questions about summer camps, go ahead and pop those into the chat. If you're live here, we can add them to the broadcast. And for those who are watching later on, I'll be happy to circle back around and have a conversation with you. Oh, which reminds me, before I go any further, hi. If you're new here, my name is Sarah Campbell. I am a business strategist, marketing, and mindset coach for music studio owners and online ed experts just like you. And we go live here most Wednesdays on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and is that all the places? Yeah, that's all the places. We go live in all the places where we talk about those topics I just mentioned. We talk about business strategies. We talk about the mindsets we need in order to make those strategies successful. We talk about marketing because that's kind of my happy place. So welcome. Today's topic, we are going to be discussing planning and marketing summer camps and workshops. Now, I'm going to give you a little background around why I'm so passionate about this topic. And I'll start by saying, when my studio was my biggest focus, when that was my main job, summer camps were a huge deal in my studio, and they allowed my business to thrive in the summer. They also allowed me to take more time off than I normally would, and they were a really great tool to get students really interested in topics that, let's face it, probably aren't that interesting to them normally. And we're talking things like music theory. We're going to discuss that in a moment. But it was a huge part of my business model. And I know that summer camps is something that kind of exploded in the piano teaching world and the voice teaching world. And there's all kinds of great resources. Excuse me. Still got a cough after like 5 weeks. Love it. Anybody else in that boat? Okay, continuing. So there are some really great resources out there. There's some really great camps, like planning materials. Like you can download camp. What am I thinking of? Like organizations, like PDFs, instructions, and stuff like that. But before you get to that, what I want to talk about today is, the things that you need to consider before you're choosing those materials. And we're going to get real strategic around how you can set up these camps. We're going to go through a lot of different points today. So I'm really excited about this. I do have the Savvy Sarahbot set up. So if you drop the word summer down below, okay, if you are on Instagram or if you are on Facebook, drop the word summer in the chat, and the Savvy Sarahbot will reach out to you and send you a list of the things that we're talking about today. She'll also send you a list of the marketing blogs that we have over at Savvy that will expand on these topics. And if you are watching on YouTube, YouTubers, pay attention. Your link is in the chat already. So go ahead and look in the chat or the description of this video on YouTube if you want to get a hold of the link. For those of you who are watching on my personal profile, here's the link where you can get the goods. I'll just pop that into the chat. That is not the link. That is a stream key for Instagram, which makes no sense. All right, here we go. So drop those words down below if you want to get a hold of that. And we'll just say, hey there. Okay, Stephanie's tuning in from New Hampshire. Happy to be thinking ahead of the summer. Elizabeth says greetings from chilly central New York. Hey, that's my brother-in-law, Ben, with a kitty. He said he's so ready for summer. And Rebecca is tuning in from Austin, Texas. Excellent. And I see that both Rebecca and Elizabeth have already gotten the notes from the Savvy Sarahbot. So let's unpack this issue a little tiny bit, and we'll get right into the tips. So one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this is because I get questions around marketing summer camps all the time, right? Because sometimes when we are bringing in a new offer in our business, so if you are brand new to running workshops and camps, when we're offering something new, it takes a lot of extra client education and marketing savvy in order to get that to be a successful offer. So we're going to be talking around that. And also, one of the things that I really want to dig into today is the importance of marketing earlier than you think and doing a lot of market research, because I know from personal experience, and I know from the experience of teachers who I've talked to over the years that I've been doing this, that a topic can make or break your summer camp. So we're going to really dig into that here and give you some tools that will help you to be more effective around selecting the topics that you're going to discuss at a camp or a workshop. So let's get to it. Reminder for those who are just tuning in, if you have a specific question around summer camps, anything like any issues that you've had with them in the past, if you have a specific question, please do drop that into the chat, and we will add that to the broadcast today. I've got a lot to go over. So let's bring up the first topic. The first topic is planning. So I have so many things to say about planning. And Groove Family Music says, thank you for this. You are so incredibly welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And I see that we got a few people tuning in on Instagram. I see Mindful Music Sanford. Awesome. We'll make sure that you get those notes. Sometimes the bot's a little bit goofy on Instagram, so I'm writing down your name and I'll reach out to you personally, because that's how we roll here at Savvy Music Studio. All right. Planning. Let's talk about it. So my first tip when it comes to planning these things is that, okay, I know it's January/February. You got to get these on the calendar now. And when you are choosing dates for events, I can speak from personal experience. One of the things that can, really throw a wrench into a successful camp is accidentally scheduling your event over top of a big event in your area. So if you aren't already aware of the big events in your area that your current clients are participating in, it is important to ask. I remember early on when I was running summer camps, I kept running. I did it 2 years in a row, which just makes me want to like shake myself. But I put my event, one of my big events for my young students, on a weekend. On a week where there was a really big church camp that was occurring, and I discovered after the fact that the majority of my students were going to be attending this. So, what does that tell us? This is all, I swear every single tip that I'm going over today is going to tie into market research. Wait for it. What does that tell us? It tells us that we need to talk to our clients more. So yes, we need to consider what is on our calendar already, and that is like your most important first step. But also doing some market research and talking to your clients. And you can be straight about why you're asking them the question. Hey, I wanted to touch base with you because I am in the beginning stages of planning some really great summer camps for our piano studio. And I just wanted to check in to see, like, when is Bobby doing any specific summer activities this year? I want to make sure that I am choosing a week that's going to work for the most students. So have that conversation with them, because a lot of families already have specific events that they're signed up for, because they're annual events. They happen every year. They're normally happening around the same time each year. So get out there, talk to your clients about that, and figure out when are the weeks that I should avoid. And then get your events on the calendar. One of my favorite things to have as a business owner is, and I can show you, but it would be super messy, so I won't. On this wall right here next to me, I have a year-long calendar where I can block off events and then figure out what's happening and when. So if you don't have one of those already, it's a great thing to have. And you can even have it inside of your studio where students can see those events on the calendar. That's really nice. Okay, so get your event on the calendar first. Your second tip is to really get clear about your pricing. Now, I am not going to do a full-on training in this broadcast about pricing. However, I'm going to mention some of the things that I think are very important. So the first question that I like to start with when you are trying to figure out how to price a workshop or a camp, the first thing is not, well, what does everybody else charge? That does not matter. When your marketing is effective and you're doing a really good job at that, that pricing is not going to be the end-all be-all of the decision-making process of these parents. So here's how I typically like to figure out how to price an event like this. I start by asking myself, what does the business need or want to make? This is going to tie into how much time do you want to take off in the summer? What do you need to make this summer? I know that for many teachers, summer can be a time, depending on where you live, summer can be a time where there's a lot of drop off in lessons. And so it can be a kind of leaner time. Now, that is a much larger discussion around business models. But the first thing to ask is, what does the business need to make? Then you need to account for all of the things. You got to get out your calculators and do some number crunching. So that might look like, start by knowing your billable hour, right? Now, your billable hour for a camp or a workshop, it's not just the time that you are there running the camp. There's so much more involved with this, especially if you're like me and you pick like crazy involved topics that include a ton of setup. Don't be like me, or be like me if that's what makes you happy. I'll tell you more about that in a bit. So know your billable hour, and then you're going to start crunching the numbers on things like prep time, delivery time, all the materials that will be involved. So make sure that you get a pretty comprehensive list about how much these materials are going to cost. I know that for me personally, some of those summer camps cost quite a bit of money up front because of the activities that I wanted to do and all of the things that I needed in order to run those activities. Also consider things like rent and insurances. Now, if you are doing, not a lawyer, but going to give you some advice, and then check with your lawyer. If you are renting a space to run a camp, make sure that you check with the facility around insurances and if you need to get additional insurance to use that space for what you are doing. Super important. It's always good to be protected. And then also consider things like, hey, am I going to spend a bunch of money on swag? Am I going to spend money on flyers, advertising, etc.? Make a list of all the costs involved, and that is going to be how you determine your pricing. So that's all I'm going to say about pricing. If anybody has specific questions around that, feel free to hit me up. And if you're watching and this is resonating so far and you're finding this helpful, please do me a little favor at this moment and like this video or love this video, or maybe tag a friend who you think would really benefit from this discussion. All right, moving on. Our next area about planning is market research. This is my favorite tip. Okay, so pay close attention here. Topics will make or break your success when it comes to running events like these. Let's be honest, most students and most parents will not be excited about attending a music theory camp. So if you are titling your event Music Theory Camp, unless you are maybe helping people prepare for RCM and that kind of stuff, and that's the model of your studio, most people won't be excited about it. So here's what I like to do. I like to start by, when I'm brainstorming these the topics that I want to do for the year, I like to make a list of the goals and interests of the students in my studio. And I'm talking about interests that are outside of music. So I'll give some specific examples of this. In previous years, depending on the students that I had in my studio and how old they were, I would take a look at, what are you guys interested in outside of school? So in every lesson, I make sure to ask some of those questions. Hey, what have you been up to? What are you reading? What are you watching? That kind of stuff. And I'd make a little mental note around the common through lines that I would see in my clients. And that would give me a lot of ideas that would help me get creative in terms of how am I going to spin this workshop or this camp that is actually going to teach them some really important music theory skills or composition skills or performance skills. How am I going to spin this to make it super interesting to them? Now, let me give you some examples of camps that I've run in the past that did really well. I ran something called a Composer's Quest. And the reason I chose that is because I had a lot of avid readers and people who were really interested in adventure style books. And so we created a camp that was kind of half role playing, half composing, and half writing. That's 3 halves, but just deal with it. Some other examples would be I did a musical cruise when my studio had a lot of littles in it, and I knew that parents would value those students learning about different areas of the world. These students were all very creative. They loved doing crafts, and they really liked this idea of being able to make their own musical instruments. And so we did a camp where we traveled around the world. We had a cruise ship, and we learned about the different music in all these different countries, and then we would learn how to make instruments out of everyday materials. 2 other examples. One that I love is we've done Movie Magic. Movie Magic was a camp that I ran probably 4 different times, and this was geared towards teens. I had a lot of creative teens who were really interested in musical theater. They were interested in acting. They were also avid readers. And so this was a way to bring in all of these skills together: writing, acting, composing music. And these students actually wrote, filmed, directed, acted in, created music for their own mini movies, and I helped as an editor, and then we put them together. If anybody ever wants to see them, I can send you to our studio's YouTube channel where you can see the results. They're hilarious. And then when we're talking about workshops for vocalists, one of the most successful ones that I ran was called Sing, Act, Moved, because it tapped into the desire that these teens had to land the role. So the market research that you do is really important. You need to understand your ideal client and what they want. And when you can choose a topic that really resonates with the people that are in your studio, you are going to be more successful. I love that. Okay, so quick recap of what we talked about with planning, right? Get your camps on the calendar now. Don't delay. You want to give parents time to reserve that on their own calendars. Make sure that you're aware of the things going on, like the big events that you might want to avoid. Evaluate your pricing to get super clear on everything that's going to be involved in that camp. And then make sure that you are spending quite a bit of time market researching. You can do that now. All right. If there was anything specific about those planning tips that really resonated with you, please let me know that down below and we'll bring it up to the screen. I see Cassandra just tuned in and she said, oh, this sounds kind of interesting. Yeah, awesome. Which part sounded interesting to you, Cassandra? I'd love to know. All right. Now we're going to shift into talking about marketing. And I know that this is the part where a lot of people had questions. So, all right, let's do this. So when it comes to marketing your camps, here are my tips. Begin marketing earlier than you think. We just talked about a lot of the market research that you can do to figure out what would be a successful topic and what are people interested in my studio. That is actually the beginning of your marketing. This is the opportunity to sow seeds for students and parents to start thinking ahead to the summer. One of the things that I think prevents people from creating these successful camps is when we don't talk about them enough. We spend a lot of time choosing all this stuff, doing everything behind the scenes, and we don't involve our clients. So talking about the plans that you're making, asking their opinions on what they think would be interesting, what their child might be interested in, and then being able to then also communicate, okay, let me pause there. What does that kind of work communicate? It communicates that you really care about their kid and about their learning style, about what they're interested in, and it gives you the opportunity to really communicate the value of attending those events. So when you're talking to parents, when you're talking to students, pause again. I am so excited. I'm so excited to talk about this topic. I could literally go on forever. I want this to be cohesive. I think one of the reasons that marketing doesn't work for a lot of people is that we are not good at really connecting the benefits of that camp to this person who is in front of us. And so I have in the past had very clear conversations with parents around here is exactly why I think that Mari should attend this camp. Here are the things that we've been working on this year, and here is the way this camp is going to work on help her with those things, but it's going to do it in a really creative and fun way, and I think she'll be really excited about it. Like straight up tell people why this camp is perfect for their kid. Okay. Keep going, Sarah. So begin marketing earlier than you think. Start sowing those seeds, start having those conversations, and then once you've got your camp on the calendar, your workshop on the calendar, you need to make a marketing plan. Actually sit down and craft out a full-on marketing plan. And if you don't know how to do that, I do have resources on the blog that outline that. I also have an ebook that you can get a hold of that goes through that. If you go to savvymusicstudio.com and check out the Get Found Online Field Book, it's in the top of our menu. That little ebook, it's not little, it's like 33 pages or something, will lead you through exactly how to make a marketing plan. Okay? But I'll do a tiny recap of this here. You need to set very clear and measurable goals, thinking about like good, better, best, the number of students that you want to enroll in this camp. You need to choose where you're going to market, figuring out all of the platforms. And I'm not talking about just online platforms. Your best kind of marketing is going to be referral and networking. Online is going to complement that. Then, and only then, that's when you start creating a task list of what's involved. Oftentimes people jump directly to that task list thinking, okay, I need to make a Canva image and post it on Facebook, or I need to do this thing, or I need to do that thing. Please, please, please start by actually crafting out your full comprehensive marketing plan. And we have tools for that here at Savvy. If you need them, let me know. Now, some notes on where to market, because this is going to tie into some of the questions that I'm going to bring up that users submitted for this broadcast today. One of my favorite things to do, which a lot of people do not do, is to network with local businesses. So if you have friends in the area that are business owners, or if you frequent certain businesses, network with those people, talk about what you're doing, ask if they know anybody that might be interested, get that conversation going. Also, start reaching out to schools now, because, if you wait until April/May, when they're in the midst of testing and wrapping up the school year, you're just not going to get their attention. So start reaching out to schools now, and make sure that you're drafting out multiple things that you're sending to them, so it's not just a single contact. And then another thing that I like to do, a lot of us forget to do, talk to your parents in your studio and ask them if they know of places to put flyers, or if they know of other kids who might be interested in the workshops. Really important. All right, so we've talked about begin marketing earlier than you think. Make an actual marketing plan. My next tip for you is to create sign-up incentives. Here are some of the ones that I know from personal experience have been the most successful. Early bird pricing. Now, I know that sometimes people get nervous about this because they think, oh, early bird pricing, that means that I'm giving like a pretty big discount, and that means that I'm going to make less money in the camp. Let's be clear. Your early bird pricing is your actual pricing for the camp. Your early bird pricing is your actual pricing. That is what you need to make. After that early bird is over, you are making additional money. So don't discount your camps and cut into that bottom line, because that's not going to work out well, right? So early bird pricing is fantastic. Another thing that I love to do is an invite a friend incentive. And that it's similar to an early bird pricing. An invite a friend incentive allows us to give a current student a discount, and that friend a discount if they bring a friend to that workshop, and that friend signs up through their referral. Great. And one other thing that I've tried in the past that I liked as well is bonus swag. So to say that they will get a free t-shirt and water bottle if they sign up by actual, X number of dates, right? And essentially it's all tying into that initial pricing, right? The quote unquote early bird pricing, and then just making sure that you're pricing things accordingly. Okay, I love this. Cassandra's takeaway today is that early bird pricing is the actual pricing, and after that, you increase your price. Exactly. I love this. Ooh, there's some great comments here. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this point, and then we're going to bring up the comments and the questions that were submitted today. All right. Final point on marketing is when you are running your camps. Now, this is after you're actually running the camps. I want everyone to remember to document. Document. Take tons of photos, take tons of videos. If you can't do it, find somebody else that can, because one of your best ways to market is to use past photos and videos of camps to show how much fun people are having. And that is something that a lot of people forget to do because we're so excited to actually teach the workshop or run the camp, and we are so involved with doing the things that documenting it can be quite challenging. So make sure that you have a plan in place for that. All right, let's bring up some of the comments from here. Harmony, okay, so Craig says, that just spurred a thought that I texted my assistants about a camp based on the music and instruments used in Bluey. Fabulous, right? You got to know, you got to have a gimmick. You got to have a gimmick, right? We have to package music theory and performance skills and all this stuff in a way that is exciting, right? Great. Cassandra says, I taught an acting class to ballet students as a supplemental class during their summer intensive. I had them do commercials. Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. I did that kind of stuff as a kid. I love that. Fantastic. Okay. I had been thinking about discounts, and this is an awesome thought. Woohoo. Yes. Excellent. All right. Now, I have a couple more things I'm going to go over here. Now is your time to submit your questions if you want to get them answered live on the broadcast. So if you've got questions, drop them in there now. I have 3 questions that were submitted earlier. they were really interesting. So I'm going to read one. This is from Andrew. He says, I put up flyers in my community. I share on social media and websites. I get flyers up out at the schools that I accompany for church. What are some other ideas to get as many people to attend as possible? Should I pay for Facebook ads? I encourage everyone on my platforms I know to share about the camps. Any other suggestions would be appreciated. So first and foremost, I want to address that really clear question around, should I pay for ads? Unless you are a large music school and you have a pretty like decent marketing budget or an advertising budget, I do not suggest like a sole teacher to spend money on Facebook ads. Here is why. The ads that are going to be the most successful are actually like lead generation ads. They're not sale ads. Let me explain the difference here. A lead generation ad is going to get somebody interested to find out more info or interested to like download a freebie, etc. And it's not necessarily going to result in a sale. It is very hard to target Facebook ads in a way that is super effective. Boosted posts don't always get shown to people who are actually your ideal clients. A boosted post, which is not an actual ad, by the way, a boosted post and an ad are two different things. A boosted post is going to be shown to either an audience that is like the people that like your page or the people and the friends of those people who like your page. That's not always your ideal client, right? So certainly use social media as a way to market the camps, but you might not want to actually toss money at it. Now, if you're like a multi-teacher school who has a good advertising budget, you might be in a better place to hire someone to make a very specific ads through Facebook Ads Manager, something that is actually targeted and targeted to a specific area and targeted to specific interests. That's when your ad is more likely to be successful. But here's what I would say I would add to your marketing plan here, Andrew. So you're putting up flyers, you're sharing on social media, you're sending out other things to like your church, etc. My big question for you would be, how often are you actually talking to people about it rather than just posting something or sending them something? And what does the follow-up look like? So when we send something in the mail or via email, there's a lot of things that get sent to teachers, to churches, etc. What does your follow-up look like? Are you reaching out multiple times to see if they got the information? Are you calling them and getting them on the phone? And so that's part of it. And then the next part of it would be tying back to what I said earlier in today's broadcast. What does your communication look like with your current clients? And are you spending the time really expressing why a camp would be perfect for a specific child? That's real marketing, right? That is really understanding what does this child need? How does this camp that I have designed address that need? And how will this camp really benefit the child? And it's not always going to be like, Timmy really needs to learn how to read chords better. That's not going to be like enough incentive. It can be things like, hey, Tim and I have been really working on a lot of, let me rephrase this. Tim and I have been talking about how he's really interested in playing more pop music. And I got a little creative, and I have put together a summer workshop where we are really going to be digging into how to listen to those songs on YouTube and figure out chords. And I think that this is something that's really, really going to spark his interest and boost his practice, right? So it's not just about, when you're talking to a parent, it's not just about this kid learning music theory. It's about, how is this going to help them? Oh, if it's going to get Timmy to practice more, I'm on board. Right? It is, we got to be specific about it. So Andrew, I hope that gives you some things to chew on. And I would also suggest looking back at, what does my actual marketing plan look like? So those are two answers for you. Then I got a thing from Jeanette, ties into this as well. Jeanette said, what is the best way to advertise for camps? I never get enough people. again, back to that, like how are you talking to the specific parents? Are you getting the students themselves really excited about the camps? Leading up to camps in the summer, I would be not only talking about those camps with students in my studio, I'd have all kinds of stuff inside of my studio that would be like a sneak peek as to what's happening. And, I would have things on the wall that would have like questions, like riddles or questions and things like that that would tie into the topics, and just figure out creative ways to generate interest. If you don't know how, like if you're stumped on that, try ChatGPT. I bet they could come up with some really interesting ideas. All right, last question here, again, ties back into what we've discussed. This was from Wendy. She said, I'm trying to set up camps since I moved to new area and networking with schools and et cetera, but they all have their own resources. And she gave me some titles of the camps that she was running that had no response. So the titles were Music Theory, Learn or Catch Up, and the other one was Intro to Singing. So again, yes, those are the things that we want to teach, but that's not the selling point, right? We have to dig deeper into what are kids interested in nowadays, what's going to get them excited, and then get a little creative with how we are going to package that music theory, how we are going to package that performance tip, etc. I love it. Yes, Cassandra, it's funny. A lot of people see me as, oh, Sarah is that social media and online marketing person. Yes, I do talk about that. But when I'm working with one-on-one clients, you better bet that we are old school marketing, and we are really digging into that, because that is where we can be the most successful. The online stuff and the social media stuff complements it. It doesn't replace it. I love it. Oh, Kevin, it's nice to see you. Kevin has dropped the magic word down below on Facebook. This is a reminder for those who are watching. If you are on Instagram or on Facebook, you can drop the word summer down below and get a hold of the things that we've talked about today. You will get a list of all of the tips that I've talked about. I know we went through a lot, so having that list might be useful. And then also you are going to get a link to the Savvy blog and all of the marketing blogs that we have. So those blogs will build upon what we have talked about. If you're not sure how to create a marketing plan, there's a blog there that is about how to set goals and strategies and tactics, and it really defines that. And there's also I'm trying to think of what the other topics were. I can't remember offhand. They're good. Go check them out. And if you want to get more support with that, remember that you can download the Get Found Online Field Guide that will actually literally walk you through how to create a marketing plan. And that is, you can use those plans not just for online strategies like social media, Google, that kind of stuff. You can use it for in-person strategies as well. And if you are looking for more help, reach out to me. This is literally my favorite thing to do. And I do have a couple of coaching spots available for this spring. So if you're ready to rock your summer camps and rock your online marketing, or you need help in general with your business, reach out. All right, so let's do a Savvy recap. If you have enjoyed this, do me a hot favor, like this video, heart this video, and all that good stuff, right? If you have a friend who could benefit from this free resource, from this conversation that we've had today, tag them in the comments or share this video into a group. The more the merrier. We work really hard here at Savvy to put these free resources together. And if you are enjoying them and you want to say thanks to myself and the team for the work that goes into this, the best way that you can thank us and show your support is by sharing this. All right, let's rock and roll. We're going to do a fast little recap here. Oh, good Lord, how am I going to recap this? I can do it. All right, here we go. You ready? Drum roll, please, y'all, because this is going to be interesting. Let's see if Sarah can cram this into 3 minutes. I can do this. All right. I know that summer might feel a really long way off, but guess what? It's not. And that means as music teachers, if you are interested in running summer camps, now is the time to get that info together. So here are a few tips when it comes to planning and marketing summer camps that will help you create events that are more successful. First tip is this. When it comes to planning your summer camps, get them on the calendar early and make sure that you are aware of the other big events in your area so that you are not accidentally stepping on a big church camp that like half of your studio is going to. So make sure you're talking to your parents and your students to figure out what they already have on their calendar. Another tip when it comes to planning summer workshops and camps is to really crunch those numbers. If you're unsure of how much to charge for your camp, you need to get clear on all of the numbers. We need to understand, what does the business need to make? What's that billable hour? What is involved in terms of prep time, in terms of delivery time, in terms of all of the materials that you're going to need for that workshop or camp, your rent, insurance, etc. So make sure that you sit down and crunch those numbers, because that's going to be how you find the best number to price your camp. All right. One of the biggest pitfalls of planning a summer camp is not doing market research on the topic. So topics will break or make your success for a summer event in your studio. Make sure that you are asking your students what they're interested in. And we're not talking about music things that they're interested in outside of lessons. So you can start getting creative about, how can I package this idea that I'm going to teach them music theory, but not name the camp Music Theory Camp, because nobody wants to sign up for a music theory camp, but they do want to sign up for a camp that's about making movies, where you're going to learn how to write and film and produce, and you're going to learn how to compose a piece, and that's going to have a lot of information about how to do chords. All right. Now, when it comes to marketing, I want you to think, you got to start marketing your summer camps earlier than you think. If you are running a camp in June, you need a bare minimum of 10 weeks of active marketing. More will probably be better. So make sure that you start sowing those seeds early and letting people know that you are running an event. And remember, when you're putting a summer camp together, take the extra time to actually create a clear marketing plan that has measurable goals, that has strategies in place, and that has really clear tactics. If you don't know how to put those things together, we have resources here at Savvy that will help you. Because when you have that super clear marketing plan for an event, for a workshop, etc., you are going to be more successful in how you put things together. And you're also going to have things that are measurable, so that later on, if things didn't quite work out how you wanted, you will know what specifically didn't work out, and you'll have something that you can tweak in the future. All right, my final bit of advice. One of my favorite ways to make sure that you are getting enough signups for a summer camp is to create sign-up incentives. Here are 3 of my favorites. Number 1, early bird pricing. Now, let's be clear. Early bird pricing is not a deep discount where you are then going to be like really screwing up your bottom line for running this event. Your early bird pricing is your actual pricing. Think about that. Number 2, invite a friend incentive. That's a great way to tap into getting new people involved in the studio and to reward your current clients for doing that referral marketing. And number 3 is make sure that you've got some bonus swag lined up, because if you can offer t-shirts or mugs or anything that like would be super cool for a student, that is going to be a great way to incentivize them to join. All right, that is it for our recap today. I really appreciate everyone who has been here. If you enjoyed today's broadcast, let us know. If you want to get the full broadcast, drop the word summer down below, and the Savvy Music Studio will reach out to you with all of the tips and the links that we talked about. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for being here. We will be back next time. And in the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing music teacher, and there is no one in the world quite like you. And I think you're pretty dang awesome. And I also think you'll be really good at running that summer camp. All right, everybody, we'll see you next time. Bye.